So presenting with me today is Justin Yu. He's a lead developer on my team, and he's also plays the architect role. My name is Lena Tomlinson. I'm a director of R&D at iPipeline. So we are a Salesforce ISV partner, and we have an app on the App Exchange called Agent One. So I would say that we're an early adopter of Lightning. So we've been doing Lightning development since it came out in preview. But at the same time, we're also in the insurance industry. So being in the insurance industry, our customers and our user base are a little bit slow to change. And that's important to know because through that, we have experience with different approaches of delivering Lightning experience. So for our product, we actually want to move forward and build all our custom pages out with Lightning experience, but at the same time, we still need to support our user base on Classic experience. So I'll jump into the agenda. We're going to actually cover 3 main topics today. The first one, we're going to show you 3 different approaches for achieving Lightning experience. And then we're also going to show you a demo of each approach, a feature that we built with each approach, and then explain to you why we chose that approach. And then we're going to take a closer look at the SLDS, so Salesforce Lightning Design System approach with the VisualForce page. And then Justin's going to show you a demo with some code. And then we're also going to show you some code on how to build a VisualForce page that supports both Classic and Lightning experience. And then all this code that you see today will be shared on GitHub. Okay, so let me take a quick poll. So how many of you have actually developed Lightning pages and have put it in production? Okay, so a small group of you. Okay, good. So it's great. So we'll jump right into the first topic, the 3 different approaches of developing Lightning experience. The first one is Lightning component. So with the Lightning component approach, it leverages the Lightning component framework. This is native Salesforce technology, so if you use this technology, inherently you have a Lightning experience look and feel. This is the future of Salesforce. If you can use this approach, it would be best to actually move forward and start using the Lightning component framework. If you did that, you would be able to drag and drop Lightning components in anywhere that supports it, like the app builder. And then you could also even put it on the component exchange. But it's only supported in Internet Explorer 11 and up, so Edge, and also the latest browsers, so Chrome and Firefox. There's no issues there. It's really if you need to support older versions of Internet Explorer. It's also not supported in Classic experience. Okay, so approach number 2. This is the Lightning component and VisualForce page approach. So this is a hybrid approach. It leverages the Lightning Out technology. So the Lightning Out technology is just an extension of the Lightning component technology, and it allows you to embed a Lightning component in any web container. And this is actually the Salesforce recommended approach if you wanted to expose your Lightning component in Classic experience. So it supports Classic, and then it also supports older versions of Internet Explorer. And it's reusable. So you build it once, and you can show the same component in Classic as well as in Lightning. Okay, so the third and final approach is VisualForce and SLDS. So SLDS is Salesforce Lightning Design System. So it's really just a style sheet, so very similar to CSS. So if you worked with CSS, you could work with SLDS. And this particular approach leverages your VisualForce skill set. So if you still wanted to continue using VisualForce, it's really just building a VisualForce page, but styling it with SLDS. All right. And this approach is supported in both Lightning Experience and Classic. And there's also no IE limitation. OK, so I'm going to jump into a quick demo.
No, mouse doesn't work. Mouse doesn't work.
OK, so the first approach I wanted to show you is the Lightning component approach. So we have a configuration section to our main app that is independent. It's really just for admin users. And for that, we can pretty much dictate to the admin what browsers they can use. And then they're not as picky as our general audience, right? They can say, yeah, go ahead and build it in Lightning component. We don't need to support Classic experience. So we went ahead and decided to use Lightning component. So this is a Lightning app we built. And here, these are all Lightning components. So all these little text boxes. We also have a lookup box. So this is actually a view into custom settings. We built a custom UI for the custom metadata type and custom settings. And we also built a lookup control. So this is actually a Lightning component here, this lookup control. And you can see it's actually looking up to our product table and pulling that up. So I want you to remember this this little component here as I jump in to talk about approach number 2. Okay. So for approach number 2, we were asked to build a homepage. We needed a component on our app's homepage. And the requirement for this was that it needed to be supported in both Classic experience as well as Lightning experience. And we wanted the exact same look and feel. So we didn't want it to switch to a different look and feel between the two experiences. So this component here in green, this is actually a Lightning component. So as you can see, it looks like Lightning experience. And I'm going to type in here. So this is actually a lookup. So this component here, and the reason why I wanted you to remember that from our first demo, is that this is the same component. But right now, if you look around, this is the Classic experience. So using Lightning out, we've embedded this component into Classic experience. Okay. And then for our third approach, which was the VisualForce and SLDS approach. So VisualForce and SLDS, we have a page layout here. I'm on a client record. And if I scroll down, so this area right here, where you see the section header, fact finder, and all these fields, this area is actually a VisualForce section. So we were asked to embed fields from another object onto the client page. So what we decided to do was build a VisualForce section, and we'll expose that right here. And in this, you see that on the Classic experience, it looks like the Classic look and feel. I'm going to switch to Lightning. So as that's loading, so we decided to use VisualForce with the SLDS approach here because we needed to support it looking like Classic when the user was in Classic experience, but Lightning when they switched to that experience. So if I open up the same record, so this is the record homepage is what they call it in Lightning. And if I scroll down, I'm missing the heading, but this is the exact same VisualForce page, except right now it's showing the page and the fields in Lightning experience. Okay, so I'm going to pass it over to Justin right now, and he's going to jump into topic number 2.
Thank you, Lina. That's a great demo. Yeah, in the remaining time of the session, I'm gonna show you how to develop a Lightning VisualForce page with VisualForce and SLDS technologies. So let's start from from a simple example. Huh? Doesn't work? Okay, let me just try.
This one.
So here is the sample page we want to build. Let's just try to migrate that standard output field. Let's just try to migrate that standard output field into a Lightning world. So the first things we need to do, we just need to create put a standard output field onto the page. So after we put it, let's take a look. So that it looks like here, or it's here, yeah. It's classic look and feel, classic UI. So now let's put some Lightning kind of flavors into it. Let's put some new markups and CSS or SLDS classes. So after we do that, so let's take a look. It's a magic, right? The component kind of display change itself to the Lightning look and feel. So after that, I think there's one more thing we need to work on is the little kind of inline edit icon. So in order to do that, I need to add more mockups. So that's all the mockups I need to add to this control. So after that, let's take a look. Cool. So we made this component. So this component is fully kind of Lightning look and feel. So this approach, actually, it is a general or standard approach if you want to develop a Lightning VisualForce page with kind of VisualForce technologies. But what the challenges of this approach is, right? So you might have noticed it already. So just with that very simple output field, we have put so many lines of code to switch it to look and feel. So the kind of the styling effort is not trivial. And in order to do that, you also need to understand CSS and SLDS. It's not hard, but you have to learn something new. And also that approach is not easy to scale, upgrade, and maintain. So that approach does work for us, but can we do something better? So the answer is, we call it LexForce. LexForce is our solution to solve the challenges we just mentioned above. So then, what is LexForce? LexForce actually is a collection of custom VisualForce components which have the Lightning experience, look and feel. We call those components LexForce Components. And the LexForce component package the standard VisualForce component along with the SLDS class to make it Lightning VisualForce component. Use this component, you just drag and drop, you can make it. So that's the code we developed before, right? That's all the lines you need to work with just output field. With LexForce, just one line of code. You have your Lightning output field already. Okay, so the LexForce is a great idea. So how we should build it, right? So don't worry. Actually, I will show you. Walk through the process to build a LexForce components, and also I will give you a live demo to use this LexForce component to build a Lightning VisualForce page. And also, in the kind of walk through the process, I will explain the key techniques used to build those LexForce components. So let's still use the output field for example. Let's just build a Lex output field. Here is the syntax of the field, this new VisualForce component. You just need to pass in the S-object and the field name. So this syntax a little bit different from the standard VisualForce component. So it's because of the data binding part. So I'm gonna talk about it later. So let's start. So first, we just need to create that's a develop console. We just need to create a Lex custom VisualForce component. And we call it Lex output field. And we drop in output field into it. So after that, we need to work on the data binding part. So since the custom VisualForce component doesn't know which type of the object it works with, so the dot notation, the data binding technique doesn't work here. So to do that, we need to use a technique called the dynamic VisualForce binding to binding the data. So take a look at this line. So that's the dynamic VisualForce data binding. So please also pay attention to the line above. So this line actually is another technique. It's try to dynamically reference the schema information of the S object and the field, because we need the schema information to dynamically display the field label for this control. So after that, the data binding part is done. So let's work on the cosmetic stuff. It's just for the lightning look and feel. So I just copy the code we developed before and just put it here. So after that, the page should, when we put this custom VisualForce component into the page, it should look like this way. So there's one thing I just want to point out. You might notice already. So there's a new attribute I introduced here. It's called the inline edit handler. The reason I introduced it here is because the inline edit behavior in Classic is totally different from the Lightning. Because in Lightning, when you click inline edit button, the whole page switch into the Lightning edit mode. So in order to do that, we need to bubble up the inline edit click event or double click event to page level. So let the page to switch itself to the edit mode. So that's the technique. We try to, the inline edit handler is a JavaScript function defined on the page level. Let's say when user click, there's a click or double click event. When this event has been triggered, it will trigger the page level function, then switch the page into the edit mode. So that's the trick for how we support the inline edit. So before we dive into the live demo, there's another LexForce component I want to introduce to you we built. So that we call it a Lex input field. It's a LexForce implementation for the input field. So let's take a look at those highlights of the features of this field. So the first thing is for the input field, the look and feel, the user interface need to be rendered differently according to the type of the field. Take a quick look at this kind of sample page. You notice that the field has been rendered as a lookup, a checkbox, daytime, or the email. So another thing we also need to pay attention, so not only the UI part of this component, also all the user interactive, those behaviors we need to support as well. So let's take a look at the lookup field. For example, if you enable you call the lookup auto completion feature for this field, so if you type in, it should automatically display a reason list for you. And if you click on the search icon, it should bring up the lookup dialog for you. So that's the standard behavior, interactive behavior we need to support. Also, we need to support the data binding. So let's just dive into the fun part of this demo right now. So we will build a real Lightning VisualForce page with the LexForce components. So here is the page. We got a sample page we will build, looks like, and today we'll build part of it. And here is the custom object I created just for this demo purpose. And you notice there's a whole list of the different type of the fields. All those fields I created just for demo purpose. Okay, let me just go to the code. I need to jump into my, give me a second. Okay. So now let me open my develop console. Okay. So that's the demo org I just created for this demo purpose. Let me create a new VisualForce page here. Let me just call it demo Dreamforce 16. let me click preview. Okay, for this demo purpose, let me put this page side by side with my develop console, because for this way, it's easy to demo it. When I building the page can automatically display on the left side of the preview. So in order to develop the Lightning VisualForce page, there is some basic stuff we need to work on. I call it the basic infrastructure of it. So let me just copy and paste the code into here. Okay. So after that, we have built a specific kind of basic infrastructure for this Lightning VisualForce page. Just load this couple of things. For example, the doc type, we need to set it to the HTML5. And also we need to include the Lightning SLDS, that style sheet. So besides that, one more important thing I need to pay attention. So for general kind of the practice, this feature need to be set to false. But in order to support the interactive behaviors, you need to set this one to true. So okay, after that, we can put some field here. Let me just put a Lex import field. Okay, let's just put S object. That's the S object is binding to. I created already called LexForce. And let's put the field. Let's call it a length field. It's a type of the text field. So I will not type in all the fields. That's just me copy and paste the field I created before. So there's different type of the fields already created. Let's just copy and paste here. So in order to demo the data binding part, I also want to put the save button on the page, because you can see when the page has been loaded, I enter some value, the record has been saved, and we don't do any extra coding. Everything is standard VisualForce save action. So let me just copy and paste things here. So, okay, let me save it. So let's just move back to this demo page. Cool. We don't do anything special. It's a Lightning page already. It's a look, yeah, all those components have been rendered as a Lightning look and feel. So, and you notice that I put different type of the fields on on this page. Let me just type in, just try this page and show some feature of this page. So for here, it's just a text field and checkbox. Then for this one, it's a live demo. So I can select lookup the field. Then the date is the date pick control, and also I can click here to select today's date. So also pay attention to this field. If I put a phone number here, if I type it out, automatically formatted to the right phone format. And let me put a phone email, my email. So I intentionally didn't put the right email, so I just want to show you also the validation rule still works here. Let me click save. So it's working. So even the validation rule for the input field, we didn't do any extra coding. Everything is here. So now let me correct those values. Let me save it again. So see, the record has to be automatically save it. So for this demo, we didn't build the full page, for the whole demo page, but actually I built it before the presentation. So just give you a quick look and feel. If I click this one, I override the edit. VisualForce action, that's the demo page in our presentation. So that's all the different type fields we add on it, right? So there's also the multiple pick list. So we didn't do any extra coding. We convert the standard input field into the Lightning field, into the Lightning world. So that's the demo I'm gonna show you today. So with this demo, I think you should have an idea. Let me switch to how to build a LexForce components. Yeah, how to use the LexForce component and build a LexForce component. Use this component to build a Lightning VisualForce page. So why we use this approach? So definitely it can speed up your development process. You don't really need to deal with those trivial styling stuff. And also one important thing I just want to mention, because in the Lightning world, so your VisualForce knowledge is still valid, it's not outdated at all. You still can use your VisualForce technology to build a Lightning page. So that's that session before we just talk about how to build a Lightning VisualForce page with the LexForce approach. So there's another very interesting topic, just Lina also demoed. We call it adaptive VisualForce page. So if you still remember in the previous demo, Lina showed you the fact finder VisualForce page. When user switch the user experience, the page automatically switches look and feel into the Lightning. So we call this technique is the adaptive. Yeah, so how do we build adaptive VisualForce page? So the first thing I think is you just need to detect what's the current user experience the VisualForce page is currently running, right? There are two ways to detect it. One way is this one is used in the VisualForce page, and the second one it is used in the Apex class. So after the page has been the context has been detected, right, then the VisualForce page can render itself accordingly to the right context. So one thing is, for example, you can include the right style sheet for your application, right? So that's the way you to load different style sheet. Also, you can render the page component differently according to the current context. All those things is done by the trick is done by the render. If you notice, there's a rendered attribute. We use this one to control which section of the page should be loaded. So that's how we build a adaptive VisualForce page. So the question is, can we make LexForce component adaptive as well? So yes, it can. So we will use the same technique. That's the previous example we created for the Lex output fields. So to make this component adaptive, we just create two output panel section, and you still use the rendered attribute to control which portion of the page should be loaded or rendered. So for example, in the Classic, so we only include the output field. That component will be rendered as a Classic interface. Okay, that's all I want to demo to you. So let me pass back to my colleague Lina.
All right. Thank you, Justin. So I think we're running out of time here, but that was hopefully a recap for you. So we showed you 3 different approaches for developing Lightning, and then we showed you the VisualForce and SLDS approach, and then we're also including in the GitHub the LexForce library, so you guys can feel free to download that and extend that yourself. And then also we showed you the adaptive VisualForce page. So hopefully that helps you with your Lightning development, and happy coding. Thank you.